welcome to another edition of What's Happening. I'm Gail Burke. I'm here with my co-host, George Binns. And before we introduce our guest for the evening, I did want to mention once again about the initiative petition to allow the citizens of Massachusetts to vote for Common Core or vote against Common Core. There are people in the city and in the state collecting signatures. You may see them at the supermarkets or at the train station. I urge you all to please sign the petition so that the citizens will have an opportunity to vote against or for Common Core, which is the federal takeover of education of our schools. I want to introduce our guest, Mr. Adam Hartman. Welcome.
Nice. Thank you very much.
And you're running for school committee in Ward 3.
Ward 2.
Ward 2.
Ward
Sorry,
2.
sorry about
That's
that.
okay.
Would you please tell us a little bit about yourself, Adam?
Okay. I have lived in Beverly 11 years straight through, and then I lived in Beverly, for a year or two, before that. I grew up in Salem. Then I moved to Danvers. Then did a little bit of traveling, and then I eventually settled in Beverly. I attended North Shore Tech Technical School through high school, and that was a very valuable thing for me to do. So that's a very important thing to have technical schools, I believe. Very important. And I'm a hard worker. I wake up every day at 4 in the morning, work. That's what I enjoy. And single man, no, not married, no children. Live in a little tiny apartment, one bedroom apartment. I enjoy, exercise, cycling, riding my bike, jogging, and that pretty much sums me up.
Well, why do you run for school committee?
Long story.
You got a half an hour.
Okay. I used to volunteer for campaigns starting in 2010. Charlie Baker, when he first ran. I did some volunteer work for the Beverly Republican City Committee, handing out flyers, volunteer photographer. Bill Hudak, when he ran, I did some photography for him. Passed out the pamphlets, the flyers. Richard Tissay, when he ran for Congress, 2012, volunteered, passed out flyers, went to the events, took pictures. I like to write letters to politicians. That's a hobby of mine. Like sometimes, 10 a week. I've gotten a letter back from Joe Biden. I've gotten signed letters from Mitt Romney. Some other people in there, stuff like that. And so anyway, a friend of mine, Michael Genda, I think that's how you pronounce it. Gendry. Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm not sure how he pronounces it. But anyway, I met him. I've known him for about, since I started doing all that stuff. He gave me my first opportunity to, be a part of, be a part of what they're trying to do. Go to pass the flag. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Pass the stuff out. And I was very grateful to him because, the Democrat, Party really wasn't interested because they pretty much had it locked up.
Yeah.
So he gave me an opportunity, and
you got hooked.
And I just started doing it. And over the years, we've emailed back and forth, talked.
Well, why the school committee, though?
Because, I'll tell you, I wanted to run for mayor. I wanted to run for mayor. I emailed Michael and I said I'd like to run for mayor. We met up. Michael, and Dan Fishman came down personally, and we met one morning in April, cold, wet, rainy morning in April. And we sat down. We talked for about 40 minutes, and he said, "You shouldn't run for mayor if you want to have an impact and be part of a sweeping change. Run for school committee in your ward." So I went down the next day, got the paperwork, or a couple days later, got the paperwork, went out, got the signatures, and from there on, I've just been plugging away.
So what's the sweeping change you wanted?
We're going to end Common Core. I think it's called Kill Common Core. That's what the movement. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yep.
Knock it out. That's the sweeping change. They want to. That's why I'm doing this.
What are you going to replace it with?
I haven't gotten that far. Michael said that he would assist me in all that kind of stuff. He's the most educated man in the entire state on that
Okay.
stuff. All right?
Have you ever gone to any of the Common Core meetings with Sandra Stotsky and the Pioneer Institute?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. I've called, what's the guy's name? Seth Moulton's. No, not Seth. Whoever the congressman is. Is Seth Moulton now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I called his office. They gave me the rundown on that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. But I mean, I'm just doing this I'm just like kind of like a soldier on the front lines here. Paul Manzo, my opponent, has been there 10 years and he's the chairman, right?
Right.
So I've never run for public office, right? So there's a very small chance that I'm going to be elected. But what I'm doing is I'm like I said, that first, soldier charging into the machine gun fire, just getting the word out. When I was out collecting signatures, every single person that knew about Common Core didn't like it, and that's what's driving me to do it. People don't want it, so here I am.
Okay, why
on
don't
this
they
thing.
want it?
They don't trust
What
the
if-
federal government. Federal government, they don't trust it.
I think that going to school committee meetings can be enlightening. Because
I've gone to.
Have
some-
you?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, and you see
What do
a
you
lot
think
of
of them?
things.
Well,
I think they're a waste of time.
okay, if you're on the school committee, what are you going to do different to make them not a waste of time?
I think you should bring in some business people who are business. Just make it like a business. Make it like a functional, streamlined business, instead of a bunch of people with egos, who doing this just to feel important.
Okay.
Okay.
One of the questions I wanted to ask you now, and you seem to know some things about Common Core. How about park testing?
Yeah, I heard about
that
it.
goes
I've heard a
on?
little bit about it. I've not,
Okay. Now-
like I said,
One of the questions that I have asked the superintendent and different people on the school committee, do you think the parents should have the opportunity to opt out of park testing?
Of course.
Okay.
It's they're in charge. People of Beverly are in charge. It's their school, their children. We own the school. People of Beverly own the school. It's theirs.
People don't understand that we also...
This is our town.
We pay the taxes, and the school committee should be answerable to the people.
Yeah.
And do you feel that they are?
No. From what I've seen, but I'm not an expert.
Well,
I'm not an expert like these
Yeah.
guys. You know what I'm saying? But from what I've seen personally, no.
Yeah.
They're not allowed to speak to the media unless they all get together, and that was in one of the meetings. I heard that I had to go to one of the meetings unless they all get together and like they're not. What I heard, I don't know. Like I said, what I heard is they're not allowed to go on like Facebook and talk about what happened in the meetings and stuff like that. That was something that was brought up in one of the first meetings I attended. Yeah, yeah.
okay. Now, they do have a lot of meetings, and they go around to different schools, so it takes a fair amount of time to be on the school committee.
Oh yeah.
And you're willing to commit to that?
Well, it's like I said. I was told that I have a 0% chance of winning. I'm like lucky to get less than 1% of the vote. But if I did, I would commit to it. I would commit to it. Yeah, you got my word on that.
Okay.
If I had to do it, and I'd get help too. I'd bring in people to help me.
Yeah.
People who are educated. People who what I'm saying, like I said, Michael's the smartest, most educated man in the entire state on this kind of stuff, and he agreed to help me. He said it. He said it. He said he would help me.
Well, I think it's commendable for you to
Yep.
even think about running, because it's not an easy thing to run.
Right.
Knocking on the doors, taking the time to talk to people.
Yeah.
It involves a lot of time
Yeah.
and
Oh, yeah.
effort. So good for you.
Yeah.
You mentioned you went through North Shore Tech.
Yes.
What'd you take there?
I took collision repair technology, which is auto body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How'd it work out for you?
I ended up working in some places afterwards, some auto body places. But the thing about that is that it's an extremely hazardous trade to be in. The average life expectancy of someone in that trade is 50 years because of the chemicals that they're exposed to. Okay, the clear coat that goes in a car goes in your lungs. You clear coat your lungs. Okay,
Well, every time I see somebody painting a car, they got the bunny suits on with their
gets in your
respirators.
skin. That takes like 75% of it. But if you're in there every single day for 20 years, it's
What do
just,
you do now?
Right now, I took that information I learned, and now I'm restoring a house from 1681, right here in Beverly on New Balsh. That's what I'm doing right now. It's been on it for quite a while. So I took the information, the things that I learned, and just transferred it from cars to a house. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, how to use tools and things like that. Right. Yep.
Well,
Now,
one of the
okay,
issues
good.
that keeps coming up in the school system right now is more emphasis on STEM. You know, science, technology, engineering, and math, and all
yeah.
that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
We're trying to get it into the middle school.
Of course. Absolutely.
What kind of a program would you be interested in, let's say, at the middle school level, based on your
Okay.
experience going to ed
Do
tech?
you want the kids to be successful and be the number one? Do you want America to be the number one country, you know, when it comes to, you know, education, production, all that kind of thing?
Technology.
You got to start as young as possible. You start teaching them that stuff. You know, like second, third grade. Start teaching them. Just start easing them in. When the brain is developing, just start, you know, putting that information in there.
Do you think that the students graduating from high school today
No.
are better than they were, say,
No.
10, 15 years ago?
No, I think that say whatever you want about me. I think that my generation is incredibly weak, selfish, spoiled, lazy. Okay, I see people just sitting there staring at cell phones, and I mean, when I was in school, we wrote our math problems on a chalkboard. Okay, like a little chalkboard with chalk, and erased it with a rag. Okay, and you know.
You're not that old.
Well, that's what we did. And I had no, and when I was in school, the first time I ever had any kind of interaction with a computer was until like the 7th grade, okay? That's a problem. That was a problem for me, okay? You know, the country runs off computers, and I was not exposed to a computer till the 7th grade. And it was those old, like, green and black screen, like, like Macintosh, you know, zero capability. You know what I'm talking about? Those old computers.
Oh, yeah. Do we know? Look
Yeah.
at us. Yes, we do.
That's, you know what I'm saying?
I started engineering working on a slide rule, but you never saw one of those.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're right. There's a dramatic technology change that's
Yeah.
been going on for years,
Yeah.
ever since the end of World War II, or actually in World War II. One of my favorite stories is the beginning of World War II. The English crippled the Bismarck, and they put a torpedo into the rudder. The plane that flew the torpedo into the rudder was something called a swordfish, a biplane, canvas wings, wire struts, the whole 9 yards. And you think about what we ended up with at the end of World War II is V-2s going to London.
Yeah. Jets. The Germans had jets.
Yeah, so it's a dramatic difference, and it's going to keep going. And the emphasis on technology is going to have to be there because that's the way things are happening. Now, you mentioned you want to get the stuff to the kids. What kind of stuff would you like to get to them?
You have to base it on each kid. Some kids are good at math and poor at literature. I mean, some kids are hyperactive and running around the room. I mean, like I said, straight up, okay, you put the most, at least in my experience, most teachers that I had were elderly women, old women, right? Now you put an old woman in a classroom full of rambunctious little kids bursting with energy, can barely sit in their seat. That's going to create a kind of a problem, right? I mean, she's going to wear that teacher down, right?
Not some of the old teachers I had.
Well, yeah, I mean,
That would not stop that at all, them at all.
but what I'm saying is, I mean, if you have a group of, say, you have a ADHD, hyperactive children, cater to them by giving them a high energy, young, vibrant, teacher that's going to be able to keep up with them and cater to those children,
Let me ask you something. You don't have any children yet.
No.
But if you had a child
Yeah.
with children and you were going to put them in the public schools,
Yeah.
what would you look for when you went into the public schools?
Well, first of all, I'd put them in a private school or prep school. But if I did, I'd want, first of all, I'd want the school to cater to my needs, okay? Meaning, the parents work 9 to 5, right? Most parents?
A lot of parents, yeah.
Yeah.
What time does school get out?
Yeah.
Okay? It gets out at what, 3, 2 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock.
2:30,
That creates a
3,
problem.
Depends on the
Yeah.
grade in the school,
Creates-
yeah.
Creates a problem.
Yep.
I think that I'd want my child to basically have the best advantages. If I don't, I probably will never have children. But if I did, I'd want him to have the best of the best of the best of the best, so that he can compete with the Japanese, the Chinese, the Russians, and have the advantage instead of, being. I mean, you get some kid from China who lives on a spoonful of rice a day. That kid's going to be motivated.
So, yeah, motivation
won't-
is certainly important, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the kid's got to get stronger, faster, tougher, harder, because we have some serious. The next 100 years is going to be a difficult time for.
Well, do you think that the public schools today are too lax?
Too light
in their
Let's
discipline?
talk about our feelings and just. I would turn it into a drill, something like just a concrete block where the information is just drilled into them. No, what I'm saying, just harden them up, get them ready, because it's going to be tough. I'll tell you, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. They got to be the best of the best of the best in order to succeed in this next 100 years. The best of the best.
Well, it's a very competitive world.
It's a very competitive world,
yeah.
which the population is increasing, which means resources are going to be decreasing, right? And you've got to be the best in order to have, you know what I'm saying? Because you have China, and you have Russia, and these countries are all on the way up, and I can say that this country is in decline. I would definitely say that. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And you think the education is a big part of it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's part of it. Everything's part of it. It's a big pie. Everything's part of it. And I'll also say this: when I was in school, in public school, it was so saturated with drugs, and I'm talking a lot, like drugs. I went out to L.A. and I stayed out there for about six months. I lived out there for about 6 months, still having a residence here in Beverly, and living in downtown Hollywood. I was exposed to less of that, less narcotics and less of that stuff than I was when I was in high school.
Really?
Oh yeah, just everywhere, prescription and illegal, everywhere. Everybody had it. It was just unbelievable. It's a bad. It's not good.
So what did the school administrators or do they try and stop it, or do they close their eyes to it?
Of course, they give you the DARE program and blah.
Yeah.
Bring the
That's
speakers in. I mean, but it's and the problem is like they're not. They have a lot of this stuff. I mean, like just the kids getting a hold of like big amounts of this stuff, and it's just, I mean, I'm the soft on drugs. I think it all should be legal, but I'm just telling you how it is. If it's legal, at least the kids can't get a hold of it like it's like alcohol. You know what I'm saying? That's just something, But I'm just telling you what I experienced in public school. That's what I experienced. Yep.
Wow. Well, I know the drugs are a problem.
Well, there's an
everywhere.
epidemic running through the state
Yeah.
right now of
Yeah.
heroin overdoses.
Yeah.
And about every other day, it seems like there's a picture in the obit columns of some young lady or gentleman that,
Died unexpectedly?
yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
And
My uncle died from that stuff.
so
Yeah,
it's bad news, and it's a real problem in the school system,
Yep.
as well as society in general.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what the solution is.
It's called narco-terrorism. It's basically, if you want to take the country over, flood it full of drugs.
Well, that gets the other fun game when the cartels start moving into town
Yeah.
and competing with the drug gangs. But that's another story for another show. But basically, get back to the technology part of the game.
Sure.
You went through the approach of hands-on learning. And kind of, did you think that every kid that you associated with in high school who was similar to you in that they were hands-on
Yeah.
kinesthetic learners, some fancy name for it, do you think they got the opportunities that they needed?
If they wanted them, a lot of them didn't want them.
Why do you think they didn't want them?
Because, they just came from different. It was all from different cities,
Yeah.
and it's the people who wanted to succeed succeeded. The people who did not did not.
Do you think it's an attitude problem that people that work with their hands don't get the credit and respect that they think they should?
Yeah, sure. Of course, yeah. I mean, you could put brakes in someone's car. That's pretty serious.
Yeah.
Those brakes don't work on the highway. You're gonna have a problem.
Well, the one that gets me is, I can remember when I had a 64 Chevy.
Yeah.
I used to be able to sit on the fenders with my feet inside
Yeah.
and change the spark plugs.
Mm.
You lift you lift the hood now, and you can't find the spark plugs.
Don't touch it.
So, yeah, you're mentioning an important issue that the level of technology in the average thing that you've got is unbelievable. And I mean, you walk around with a cell phone and you got more power in that thing than they had on the space shuttle.
It's true.
Or the first Apollo.
I think you touched on something as well with the vocational education, which I think is not promoted
It's got to be.
nearly
You have
enough.
to do it.
Yeah.
Got to do it.
Because there are a lot of kids that would benefit, like you apparently have, from going to the vocational school. And now we have a brand new school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that, that should be promoted probably starting in elementary school.
Well, the other point I think you made is really important, needs to be emphasized, is you went to the tech and you learned a specific trade,
Correct.
auto body repair, which means mostly, now in this day and age, it's all painting because all the parts come out.
No, I'm talking frame straightening. There's all different types of frames.
I understand, but
Yeah.
most of it is fender
correct.
benders repair.
Yeah, correct.
And yet, when you got a little smarter on what the hazards and risks were, you were able to take the fundamental technology and experience and use it in something else.
Correct.
And I think this is one of the messages that has to get across, that if you're teaching somebody a trade, it's not a very narrow focus, that's all you can do, and when that trade disappears, you're out of luck.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of the emphasis that needs to be really brought out, that it's a very flexible program. And one of the things that I don't think too many people recognize, and I'd like to hear your experience on this, going to the Essex Tech or one of the other trade schools, how many kids went on to college from there?
Okay, well, I was with a group. We all started together,
Yeah.
and we stuck into this for 4 years.
Yeah.
Okay. One of the guys went to New England Tech for 2 years, and he said it was basically the exact same thing as what he learned in high school. He went for 2 years, it was the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay. And a lot of the guys who went on to college, I think, if I had to say, I say none of them. Zero of them, yeah.
Why do you think so?
Well, because we got a college education right there. We had both the academics, 4 years of both. There was no frills in that school. It was you go to class, then you go to the next class, and then you go to the next class. There was no wasted time. So we got the academics, and then we moved on to, then we had a week of academics, which they jam-packed 2 weeks into, and then it was a week of shop, which you jam-packed 2 weeks into. So it was basically like going to college, and I think that's very important. That's something you could really look into, trying to get that done.
How long was your school day?
Oh, it was longer than I think I would get home around 3. So it was. I think it was probably the average school day. I mean, 6
Okay.
hours or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know the
okay,
exactly what it was, but
But you managed to cram a lot of information.
right.
and
There was no
learning in
pep
those-
rallies. There was none of that stuff.
yeah,
It was just
yeah.
go to class.
Well, I know I've spoken with parents whose children have gone to vocational schools, and they are so thrilled that they were able to get in, because most of them have long waiting lists
Yeah.
to get
I
in.
think Beverly's got a limit of no more than 100 students
Yeah.
from the city.
Yeah. I had to
of
work
Beverly.
really hard to get in. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, yeah. Yeah.
Did you get in from Salem?
No, I got in from Danvers.
You were in Danvers at the time, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right on the line, right on the Danvers Beverly
Yeah,
line.
whatever. It's their school district there.
Right, right.
Yeah. So you got in under their quota.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But a lot of the kids didn't even make it. They had like probational students. I think when I started, there was like, I don't know, maybe something like 15 kids in the class, and when I graduated, I think 4 of them were left, or 5 of them.
So
yeah.
what do you think that, as a member of the school committee, what do you think should be done to have that kind of discipline that you experienced when you were in the vocational
Yeah.
school, and put it to work in the public schools?
Well, Beverly used to have a vocational school, and I actually
Right.
attended it a couple of times to go to machine shop and was another one in there, graphic arts or something. But I mean, I would just say some kind of program that puts the kids out into the community and like has them produce, doing, you know, have them produce. Like, do you understand? Like, give him the information, have him be doing something functional in the community, and he'll learn, or he or she will learn. I mean, that's the best way to learn. Just,
So using the skills that they're
you know,
learning in class.
You know, volunteers.
Yeah.
Have volunteers who are, you know, want to teach these kids. You know, come in, just try to do it for free. Try to do it for no money. You know, it doesn't have to. Everything doesn't have to cost all this money. I mean, just volunteers, put them out in the community, have them sweep the sidewalks, pick up trash while you get someone walking behind it with a megaphone, giving him math equations, just drilling into his head. You know, nothing. Everything doesn't have to cost.
How about the
$4 billion.
multiplication tables?
Yeah, exactly. Just drill it right into his head with a megaphone.
That's good.
You know.
Well, I hope you can instill that kind of thinking
No, it's not gonna-
into the school committee should you be elected. So what would you like to tell the people of Beverly in a final wrap-up about what you feel? Well, we know what you feel that your capacities are and what you will give, but what would you like your message to be for the people
What
of
do the
Beverly?
citizens of Beverly get when they make you the
Yeah.
All right.
school committee member?
Thank you, George.
If you vote for me for School Committee Ward 2, Adam Hartman, all of the right-wing, ultra-fiscal conservatives with moral values, you will have a voice, because you don't have one right now. I want to be the voice of the ultra-right-wing fiscal conservatives with moral values who are against Common Core and against park testing. Adam Hartman, you have a voice. Just go in and vote. If I can get 100 votes, that will send a message to everybody that there are people out there who have those types of values. And everybody out there, you know, tell your friends and tell your neighbors, Adam Hartman, School Committee Ward 2, let's send a message.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you.
You guys done with me?
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
Well, I want to thank you for being on the show.
Sure.
And I have to say that there's nothing shy about you.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
But no, this has been very good. I don't think we've ever had a candidate that was so upfront with about what he wants and what he wants
Yeah,
to do,
yeah.
and that's good.
You're representing
refreshing.
a different experience
Yeah.
Yeah.
from what's
Yeah.
normally on the school committee. I was on the school committee way back when, and it's a different environment now
Oh, yeah.
than it was then. So it's going to take people with a different attitude to reflect what's going on in the real world in this day and age. And one of the things that always gets me is that everybody's worried about all the jobs going to China. Well, what they don't recognize is that the production is coming back, but not the jobs. It's a different kind of job. And the skills required to work in a factory are not just showing up and working 8 hours a day doing whatever they invent. You look at some of these automated factories. There was a nice video going around about building a Boeing airplane. And you look at the technology involved and the skill levels of the people that are working there, and you have to guess at who's behind them and what kind of skill levels do they have. And it's not somebody who can read Shakespeare in the right accent.
Right. Oh, yeah. Thank God someone said that. Yeah.
So
Well, we're almost out of time,
Sure.
so we want to thank you for coming on the show,
Thank you. It was fun.
and want to wish you luck.
Thank you.
yeah.
right.
And that's it.
All right.
Thank you, George. Good night, everybody.
Thank you.